Erica and Sharon are sisters who began their grief journey in 2006 when Erica's 10-year-old son Austin drowned. Together, they participated in a grief education program, were so moved by this experience, they studied and became specialists so they could help the brokenhearted find recovery. In 2015, tragedy struck their family once again when Erica's oldest son Donovan was killed in a motorcycle accident. Erica and Sharon are committed to sharing their experiences of love, loss, and healing through this podcast. Now your grief specialists, Sharon and Erica.
Hey friends, welcome back. Erica is not with us this week as we had a loss in our family. She had to attend the funeral in Louisiana. And I want to send everyone out there love, joy, and healing energy for sure. But at the last minute, I got my favorite person in the world to come and be on the show with me. And this is Pam Johnson, and she coaches women who are struggling during their midlife prime. But more importantly, she coaches me. That's what's so important about this. Hey, Pam, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Sharon. I'm so happy to be here. And I just want to say to send my love out to Erica and the family and through that whole journey and that whole process.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So I meet with you every Thursday and we do business coaching and personal coaching and all of that good stuff. But you and I were talking the other day. So about a month ago, you went out skiing.
Yes.
And you sent me this photo of you on the slopes. And I was so impressed by that. I mentioned it on the last time you and I were on. I was like, girl, you don't even know. You don't even know how amazing this is. Like the fact that you were edging towards 60 and on the ski slopes. I was so encouraged by that. And so you and I were talking yesterday and I was like, 60 ain't old. And that's exactly what I said. And I'm like, Pam, there's a show in there. And you and I started talking about all the women who need to hear this message. Because one of the things that I shared is that I felt like my parents became 50 and then sat down and waited to die. Like they became old people so fast. And that was something we used to do in the olden days, right?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Like people would get to that part and they would just be like, okay, I'm old now.
Well, I think it's really important to understand if we look back historically through our culture, through the generations, like age itself has changed, but a lot of times our attitudes towards an age or aging hasn't. So we still have a lot of our beliefs kind of locked into an older generation. I read something the other day and it said that our generation, wherever you are, you're going to be, the average life expectancy is 10 years. It's longer than our grandparents.
Right.
So as we progress in society with medical treatments and our learning and awareness of proactive things, we're becoming a healthier, stronger society. And the result is that we're living longer. But there's just so many of our ideals that just haven't really caught up to that. I mean, we have these patterns that we run just out of, it's just a routine. It's just what we've always thought, right? And like you say, that your parents got to that age and they're like, okay, yep, done. Yeah. We had the kids, we did all those things. That was what we were here for. And then, the stereotypical sitting on your porch in your rocking chair, waiting for the Grim Reaper or something like that.
Can you imagine doing that in your 50s? Like, I can't even imagine it. So the other thing is, I think I've shared this with you, I think my mother is actually shocked that she made it to 80 because her parents died very young and they were like sickly, like bless their hearts. My grandfather had emphysema and my grandmother had congestive heart failure. Like every photo that I see of them, they just seem so old.
Yes.
Where honestly, Pam, they were probably 60 in these photos, right?
Yeah,
It was the weirdest thing that we used to do. So now we're at this new generation.
absolutely.
Pam Johnson is on the ski slopes at 60. You're living this life. Like I heard someone mentioned like the second half of my life. Like I was like, okay, I turned 50. I'm in the second half of my life. So I'm 8 years in. So I'm
Right.
literally 8 years old. That's what I said to myself, oh,
I
I'm
love
8 years
it.
old on the second half. What's
Absolutely.
the difference we're going to make now?
Well,
And the regret we have from all the things we didn't do. So I want to go there, but go ahead.
yeah, well, it's interesting. I mean, what's the difference we're going to make now? I think what's so beautiful is just to be able to acknowledge where we are.
Right.
We are stepping into this age of our life where the kids are gone.
Yeah.
That was a check mark. We raised our kids, we launched the kids, and now we're in this position. And I think women especially, we have so much wisdom. We have so much to offer. And on top of it, we're living in a very healthy, very strong, very dynamic vessel.
Yeah.
Because we have been, we've been listening, we've been doing things differently, we've been making healthier choices, we've been taking care of ourselves. There's been a lot more proactivity and responsibility for our health as individuals. And so all of a sudden we hit this stage and we're like, I'm 60. Oh yeah. And you know what, honestly, like this was, I turned 60 on May the 6th. And this was the best damn birthday ever. Because it was like, I'm here. Like, I feel like I busted through the doors
right
with my hands in the air. And it just like, I wouldn't go back to being 30 for like, there's just no way. Like if you offered that to me, yeah, it might be fun to have that body that a 30-year-old's body. But you know what? I don't see my 60-year-old body as being it's not holding me back.
Yeah. So one of the reasons we don't go back is because of the wisdom we have now.
Absolutely.
The wisdom is worth so much. But okay, question. Do
Yes.
you think we as women give ourselves the credit for where we've been and what we've gone through to help us into the future?
And it's a lot of the women that I work with, that's one of their problems. And I think women in general, we're taught to not give ourselves that credit that you're talking about. We're taught that our place in society, we're the support person, and that we have value as long as we are raising the kids, taking care of the family, creating that stability. That's our value, right? That's our primary value. And then of course, I mean, that's kind of why I think a lot of women find themselves in this void, is that they give and they give and they give and they give and they give. And then they get to that point and there's just like an empty room. It's like, now what do I do?
And I think what happens is, and this is where I tie the grief back into this, is because grief isn't just death, right? Grief is anything that we experience that causes our heart sadness, right? So
Absolutely.
we look back and think about all the things I haven't done yet. I had plans to fill in the blank. I had plans to get a degree. I had plans to travel the world. I had plans to become an executive chef. I had plans to, and you just fill in the blank. And we're at this age right now. I'm 58, so I'm 2 years looking at that 60, right? And so if I look back and see all the things I wished were better, different, or more, all the things I didn't achieve, it's going to cause a grieving experience in my heart.
Oh, absolutely, it will. But the thing is being able to manage those thoughts.
Yes.
Because I mean, like I look back, I've had numerous experiences being a psychology major and then also working for Tony Robbins. Like there's plenty of times where it was like, where we were making lists of all the things we wanted to do, all the things we wanted to accomplish. Like that was always kind of part of the narrative. And I look back at some of those things. I wanted to go skydiving. And I look at that thing now, I'm like, oh, hell no. And I mean, I would do it. Like, I'll jump, like I'll do a tandem jump. I'll happily do that. Like, that would be really fun. And I still might do that, but that's not something I must do anymore. Like, it's something I'm going to do because it sounds like it'd be fun.
Yeah.
Right. But it's looking at those things, and do you want to torture yourself with them?
Yeah.
Do you want to use those things that you haven't done yet as reasons to feel bad about who you are now?
Yeah.
And then there's some, I'm going to just say that some things on the list you can just let go of, because those were the thoughts of someone who was in a different stage. So you don't have to always look at those things and torture yourself, but there's some of those things on their list. It's like, why would you not go get a degree?
Yeah.
Why would you not still take that cooking class? Why would you not still do that?
Yeah.
And just the whole idea that we are somehow now in a stage of our lives that we should be winding down is, I don't think I can swear on your show, but it's BS, right? So we have these patterns. I mean, our brains want to be efficient, right?
Yeah.
You know, our brains want to be super efficient. Our brains want to create A + B = C scenarios, so we no longer have to do any in-depth thinking. So we as humans have created these ideals and thoughts about what it looks like to be 60. We've created those ideals for ourselves, and society has also done that.
Yes.
Right? And challenging those patterns, challenging those belief systems, I just think it's a must, because otherwise you end up giving other people the power over how you should, air quotes, feel, what you, air quotes, should be doing.
Yeah.
And that's baked into that wisdom that we now have as women, is taking back the power.
Yes.
What the heck do you want to do? Like, don't let society tell you what you should be doing, or lean into any of those ideals that other people have laid before you.
Yeah.
There's no, you're like, what do you want to do? You have that opportunity to write the book, to go back to school, to do whatever it is that you want to do. Now's the time.
Yeah. So you hit on something that I was actually headed towards, and it's the thoughts, right?
Yes.
So it's the thoughts that we have about a certain thing that's stopping us from doing it.
Absolutely.
We think it's us or the age. We blame the age, right? Well, I'm 60 now, I can't do that. But it's the thoughts about that. So let me give you an example. Your thoughts about getting on those slopes was, hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm doing that. Whereas for me right now, I'm like, ooh,
right.
The thought of doing that, I don't know if I could do that. I don't know. And that it's literally my thoughts. And I think people don't understand that. It's our brain keeping us from going after the thing.
No, I mean, the example you're pulling out, though, I mean, it's like, you know, like I don't, you know, there's a lot of women, if you're 60 and you've never skied before,
right? Like,
I mean, you don't have to in order, like there might be something else. I've been skiing since I was, you know, I think I skied the first time when I was 12. So like skiing's been a part of who I am for a very long time. So
skiing, but okay, let me give you another example then.
Yep.
Because I know I'm not going to hit the slopes, and that's not a thought. I just know I'm not going to.
Well, but the thing is, can I just interject though?
Yeah, interject.
You know, you're not going to hit the slopes, but I detect something in there that's making you feel bad about that.
So my experience, I think, with the slopes, and here's the other thing, Pam, is that I'm absolutely okay with it.
Yes.
I'm absolutely okay with not hitting the slopes.
Yes.
But that's just not a thing for me.
Right.
But
yes.
I'm tackling another thing. So I want to give you an example.
Okay.
So I have been deathly afraid of guns.
Yes.
My entire life. I don't know. In a past life, I was either shot or somebody shot me or a gun went off or something. I don't want to be in a room with a gun. I don't want to be near a gun. And so that is my slopes. I am tackling guns. So I shared with my husband that one of the things I really want to do is to handle a gun and touch a gun. Like he would get a gun and I would run to the other side of the house. I mean, it's bad.
Right.
I have a gun, I've shot a revolver. He took me out, he got me a private training lesson.
Right.
I actually have my own gun now. I
Mhm.
am going to a shooting class tomorrow. I have 100% gone after the fear of the gun.
Yeah.
I've done it.
Dang, girl.
I'm not totally comfortable with it yet, but here was the other thing that I want to say. He is so excited about it. And I found something that he and I can do together.
Absolutely.
And so now we're doing this thing together. And it's new for me. This just came out of COVID. We just started talking through it in COVID, and we've just been doing it. I've been putting the ammo in because I used to call them bullets. Now I call them ammo.
Big girl.
I guess my thought on it changed.
Yes.
My
For sure.
Yeah, my thought was, I'm afraid of guns. Those kill people. And so it's danger, was my thought.
Yeah.
And when my thought changed to, I need to capture this fear, I need to figure this out, and I want to learn this, so I'm not afraid of it, it changed.
Well, and it's interesting exploring those things, those phobias we have, whether they be guns or dogs
Yeah.
or anything like that in life. I think there's a beauty in hitting this stage of our life because you do have the wisdom to be able to go, oh, wait a second. Who knows what that was sparked by, but I want to do this just because I can.
Yeah. Don't you,
Right?
do you also feel that the movie industry has changed as well? What I mean by that is that we're seeing older women playing parts, even sexy parts. We see the one person that's come to my mind, but we've watched Jennifer Aniston grow up, and Jennifer Lopez is out on the show showing her beautiful body or whatever that is.
Yeah.
Like there was a time and place where you would get to a certain age and you were out.
Oh, absolutely. And I do think that still exists, but I think that there's been a lot of progress that has been made.
Yeah.
It is there. It is a culture of youth, still is. And I've read about the fights about so many of these women that they've had as they've gotten older. But I do think that we're seeing so many more roles. But think about that, Sharon. Why is that happening? One of the reasons I'm coming up with is that we now have a significantly larger portion of the population that is 50 to 70.
Yeah.
Just we were talking about, it used to be, that people didn't, we didn't live that long. We didn't live as long back then. Now we are living longer. And so for the movie business to ignore this big chunk of the population that's older and smarter and, might still have disposable income, at different levels, like for them to ignore that segment of the population is just, for them, just shooting themselves in the foot, because we are there. We are taking up that space. We are it's just another target market for them, really.
Yeah.
And it's so the movie business is embracing that. But you look at people like Madonna, who have always jumped on, who stood up against the whole aging thing. I mean, I get, she talks about how being attached to an age, and why does everybody want to know? And she's, God bless her, because she's unapologetically her, and I've always loved that about her. But you look at even some of the messages that we get about anti-aging, that's one of the things that just piss me off.
Yeah.
Is some of the cosmetic companies that want to sell you the anti-aging cream.
Yeah.
What's wrong with aging? The underlying message is that there's something wrong with aging, and so you don't want to age. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why not?
And if you can age beautifully and gracefully like you, we would want to do that. But here's the other thing, like, okay, so bringing that up, I went to get headshots done and I said to them, please don't correct out all the wrinkles.
Yes.
I don't want all this taken out, right? I already have a little bit of a filter on my Zoom here, and then
We all do.
I look at myself, I'm like, oh, I feel great. And then I go in the mirror and I'm like, what? I don't want people to meet me like that. You know what I mean? This is me. This is who I am. I
Yes.
want that to show. This is me getting to where I am today.
Absolutely.
These are the signs of stress, tears, fighting back, processing pain. This is me working this business to the nth degree. That's what this is. This is what you're getting. And that's why it's so important. My temples are turning white, and my daughters are like, you need to get rid of that. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Oh, hell no.
That is
No,
my badge of honor.
right? I wear it with pride. There's a woman, and it's been a little while since I first read the book, but her name is Ashton Applewhite, and she's written a book called This Chair Rocks, which I think I heard her interviewed somewhere. I listened to so many things, and I reached out and got her book, and because I love the titles, to start with, but she talks, like, one of the things that she talked about was the idea of it being an older person in training.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because at first when I heard it, I was like, what? But but when you think about it, it's an interesting concept, because as like we're not trying to pretend that we're not going to be there.
Yeah.
Like I think that that's really important to kind of see this process as a part of our life to be exactly what it is. It's our resistance to it.
Yes.
That causes the most grief. And I think, you and I as coaches, we know that, like, that's one of the big things that I think you and I both coach on, is that emotions are harmless in and of themselves, but the more you resist and push against them, the more the bigger they become, the harder they are to deal with.
Yeah.
And it's in I think there's a Buddhist phrase about embracing the dragon.
Yeah.
And it's stepping into this stage with gusto and with glory and with, like I say, arms wide open, and just allowing it to be. I think I've read so many books, but I think this is also an Ashton Applewhite, the term of agefulness.
Oh yeah.
Right. And it's like, yes, like that's how, like, I'm not going to dread this. It's not like we said, I'm not going to ever want to go back to who I was when I was 30 or 40. Yeah. It was fun, but I don't miss it. I don't want it. But that's the assumption, is that we're in the stage where, oh my gosh, if I could only have my 30-year-old body back, or if I only go back to my 30s, oh hell no. Like for the rest of the people to assume that that's our desire is so wrong.
I think also with what you're talking about, piggybacking on that we have to approach this with a conscious decision of how we want the second half to be, right?
Absolutely.
I started out with this joke that I'm not that kind of grandmother. Like, just really just joking around, like, you can't just bring your kids and leave them here. I love my grandchildren. I cherish the ground they walk on. I think they're the most amazing grandchildren. But I also am still living, right?
Yes.
That I'm not going to turn over to be the babysitting grandmother. I'm here for everything, but I'm not that kind of grandmother. This grandmother is still her chair is still rocking, right? Yeah. So knowing that, and I said it as a joke, but it actually is the truth, is that I'm still working. I'm still providing a path. I'm still changing the world.
Yes.
At 58.
Yes.
I'm going into this. So we have to make conscious decisions and have thoughts and emotions that go with that.
Right.
And like, we need to sit down and go, okay. Because when I said that this thought just came to my head. Well, I'm only 8 years old in my second half. what do I want my second half to be?
Yes. Well, and to understand that we all have the power to consciously create it.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about that briefly when I was on the last time, but purpose,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be, some huge momentous event. Like you're not like not everybody is a neuroscientist, or like you're not, my expression is always, not everyone's is going to cure cancer or end world hunger. Like that doesn't need to be your purpose in order for you to find purpose.
Right.
It's discovering what you like, what you're good at,
Right.
what you want your contribution to be. And that's the thing. It's funny when you were talking about that. I know so many women in our age group who have just, they're babysitting full time.
Yeah.
And they love it.
And they love it.
And they think it's great.
And that's what they want.
And that's what they want. And they enjoy that. But I also see, I have this one friend who she's taking care of her son's children on a regular basis. And her daughter has informed her that, by the way, when I have babies, you need to move in. Like, I want you there always. And my friend is one of the most brilliant designers. She's still in demand. She still has a great business. She's still, so vibrant in her own space. But I see her being pulled into that.
Yeah.
And
I feel like I can have both.
Yes.
Because
yes.
I want to be involved in everything that Ever does. I want to be involved in everything that Stanley does. I'm completely involved in Aiden's life. He's in college, and I'm
absolutely.
Aiden's life. I just called him yesterday and just say, "Hey, what's up?" I want to do both, and I think it's okay to have both. And I think it's truly a conscious decision. Here's the other thing: what I love about what you and I do. I work with all the pain and the regret from the past.
Yeah.
And you focus on, how do I get this list done and go to the future?
There we go.
That's
right.
what I think is so amazing.
Yeah.
That either way, if what they're struggling with, they can have that in a coach.
Yeah. Well, and I think come to the realization that if you go through the traditional mental life, and you get to the point where all of a sudden you feel like there's a canyon in front of you and you're standing on the edge, if there's one thing that people take from listening to us today, to know in that moment that nothing's gone wrong.
Yeah.
That you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Yeah. And that not to look at it with dread, but to see it as just the most amazing opportunity that's come your way in a long time.
Yeah.
Because it really is, when you have the capacity to be able to manage your thoughts and manage your brain and to choose what to think on purpose and to live your life on purpose, to make the plan and step into that, live into it, embrace it. That is what it's all about.
That's living. That's moving beyond the pain and living.
It is.
I was going to ask you for a final thought, but I think I'm going to leave it right there, because that was my final thought.
There you
go. I
go.
want to tell you something. I want you to know that I love you. I love your advice. I love what you bring to the table for me every week. And I love that you're on the show. So this will not be the last, I promise you. And thank you.
Well, thank you. We have, that's a love fest going back and forth. I think we connected it was almost one of those instant connections.
Yeah.
When we first met. And that's the other thing, like it's so beautiful. We were, it was 4 years ago when we first met, something like that, 3 years ago. And like, you're still, like, being in your 50s doesn't mean, you can't still form important relationships. Like this is a beautiful example. You know, it's all about mindset. And I love you dearly too. And I'm so grateful that the universe, well, I believe that we were intended to be together, but the universe brought us together. I'm always grateful for that moment.
Yes, thank you. Okay, friends, Pam is amazing, and she's my personal coach. And so I want you to click the link below if you guys would like to get in touch with Pam or hear anything about her, find her website, all of that will be in the link below. Thank you so much, friends, for joining us for this enjoyable conversation. 60 ain't old.
Amen. Amen. Thanks for having me on, Sharon. It's always so much fun to be with you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, friends. Erica Honore here with Healing Starts with the Heart. Sharon and I are so glad you joined us for another great episode of our podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We want to let you know for more information, you can go to our website at healingstartswiththeheart.com. There you will find not only today's podcast, but all of our podcasts, along with our blogs, the information on the programs that we offer, and the Griever's Guide, which is something Sharon and I put together to document how we came to be your grief specialists. We also have a quiz to take to identify if you are truly grieving. And if you want to talk specifically with either Sharon or myself, you can schedule an appointment there. You will also find a place to join our private Facebook group at Hope, Heal, and Recover. Thank you so much for being with us. Have a great day, friends.